It's Daybreak on the Rise News, time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages. Let's begin with this day. In the face of oil theft, CBN's RT200 initiative records $4.987 billion inflow. 81 billion naira disbursed as rebates to exporters. That's according to the governor, Godwin Emefiele. And Buhari canvasses tight security around borders in Lake Chad Basin.
And of course, taking a look at the Nation newspaper, the screaming headline here says, Wike to Rivers PDP awaits directive on presidential poll. The writer says, we'll tell you who to vote for. Interesting. And the quote here says, you will vote for our governor, our senatorial candidates, House of Representatives candidates, and assembly candidates. Then the other one, I will come and tell you where you will vote. That is a quote there. On that particular story. Another says Tinubu has no plan to return capital to Lagos, says APC. Well, those are some of the stories making the rounds on the Nation.
Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. Import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. And depots sell 220 naira per litre. Marketers project 350 naira per litre pump price of petrol. 87% of Nigeria's rural roads deplorable. That's according to the World Bank. And the Drug Law Agency nabbed suspected drug baron.
And of course, moving over now to The Guardian, says the Tinubu lists terms to debate Obi as Arise TV insists on appearance. The writer here says, respect the Constitution, candidates must attend town hall meeting. Arise TV insists. Another says, no manifesto, no debate, Tinubu tells Obi. Agbakoba says presidential candidates must address illegitimacy of 99 Constitution. Another says level of vote buying alarming, INEC chairman laments. UK committed to transparent, credible electoral processes in Nigeria. A whole lot of riders under that story. Another major headline here says Rivers surrender to EFCC, opposition parties tell Fubara. That's on page 6 of The Guardian this morning. Well, part of the story is making the rounds up there. Says terrorists kill DPO's mom and brother in Katsina. And grief as gunmen kill Kaduna LP women leader.
In the Financial Times, taking aim, NATO backs up Nordic hopes. Of course, they've pledged more support for Ukraine in the face of the winter and Russia's invasion. Banks set for release from ring fencing rules in drive to free competitive spirit.
And an I-paper here, it says UK Christians in minority for first time since the Dark Ages. Taking a look at one of the riders here, it says less than half of the British population identifies as Christians for the first time in nearly 1,500 years. Analysts of census data for all 4 home nations shows 47.6% of UK people are Christian. The number drops to 46% of people in England and Wales. Pretty interesting stories making the rounds on iPaper this morning.
The Daily Telegraph is leading with strike action. Ambulance staff in the UK to hold first strike for 30 years. Well, this comes as thousands of health workers have announced they will be walking off the job just before Christmas.
Well, those are the stories making the rounds on the papers this morning. For the press review, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello just for an analysis on some of these headlines. Thank you so much for joining us, Emmanuel. As usual, we're going to start with this day, isn't it? In the face of oil theft, CBN and its initiative. I guess it's just his way of saying it has been successful so far. But also on this day, I'd like you to also talk about Buhari canvassing for tight security around borders in Lake Chad Basin. Says weapons fighters from Russia-Ukraine conflict compounding war on terror. Nigeria spent over $209 million on MNJTF in 6 years. What do you find interesting this morning, Emmanuel?
Yeah, almost every story there is interesting. Kenneth, good morning. Good morning. We are on the last day of November, and yeah, some of the stories also bear the mark of some of the really crazy things happening around. But it's a positive story. The story on this from CBN. CBN is painting a rather rosy picture of what it's been able to do with that race to 200 billion dollar mark that it's raising to, to raise the forex to that level, saying that look, there's been some real improvement in that, and saying that will increase our activities within the issue of exports and imports and all of that. So it's a thick story there, but I think to simplify it, you will be probably needing an economist to do more of what the implications are, but it's painting a picture. Mayfele, the head of CBN, is saying that those projections to raise the level, and he's saying this, I think what is even catchy there in that story is the fact that this is beyond the oil sector, the non-oil sector, one area that most people don't look at, manufacturing, agriculture, industry, solid minerals, and the rest. He's saying, this story is saying that the economy is probably looking beyond oil and looking at those sectors to see how they're able to show up our foreign earnings, and that's profound because before now the dependence is on oil and oil production, and that sector is it's in danger of all sorts of things, the oil theft, the crisis of refineries, the problem of importation of crude, exporting crude and importing finished product, which is manifesting in the long queues that you're seeing around the countries right now. So CBN is saying we have to look beyond the oil sector. It's been our dream in this country to actually do that, to earn more from the non-oil sector, and he's saying in this story is painting a rather rosy, positive picture that yes, I think the earnings are coming in and that we're doing more to show up that raise to $200 billion dollar mark.
Still in this day, Emmanuel, Arise News is going ahead with its presidential town hall series. It's happening on December the 4th. And right there in this day, it says the town hall is a constitutional media responsibility. And the station is urging all candidates to attend. But here on the front of The Guardian, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress has listed the terms to debate the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, and I wonder, these terms, are they reasonable or are they just ridiculous?
But what is ridiculous is actually this attempt to stay away from, debates. Elsewhere in the world, actually, candidates look for platform, like we keep saying here. They actually hunt for platform where they seek to talk to the people. It's marks of disdain and, disrespect for Nigerians to say that you will not debate, you will not talk about your programs and policies, and you will not debate even your fellow candidate, your co-contestants. You will not talk with them. It's demeaning to say that you are not going to talk to someone unless he's made some kind of, meet some kind of, in the case of Tinubu saying that Obi needs to meet some kind of, criteria. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for, Penny, to be able to debate him. So those are the crises. Beyond the running away from debates, the fact that the Tinubu campaign has been very clear from the start that look, they're going to pick and choose where they are going to appear, where their man is going to talk. He said he would rather talk to small size business people, for instance, or like now he's jet out of the country to go talk with some world leaders in some part of the world. So the campaign will choose where their candidate is going to show. But Arise is saying that look, it's also a constitutional right and or a constitutional duty for candidates to actually afford themselves the platform to talk to people and tell them about their manifesto, their plans and what they want to do. Elsewhere in the world, it's something that every candidate will rush for. In fact, even create platforms on their own to say, we want to debate, we want to talk about what we're doing and everything. So it's strange kind of to see a campaign actually making excuses for not appearing on such, I would say, a very important platform like the Arise TV is providing to say, look, we are not debating. But then the campaign too is saying, look, we have conditions. If Obi is going to show us his manifesto, if he's going to talk about what he has done in his past, then maybe we'll send one of our spokesmen to talk to debating. Like I say, it's a bit disdainful. And in some places around the world, this will have been condemnable and it will not help the campaign in any way. People will wonder what you have to hide, why you're not ready to talk, why you're not ready to talk about the things you would do. Probably you don't have ideas, or you are scared that your candidate will not be able to hold on. So this debate, I mean, right from primary schools, we've gone to debates, and I don't know why anybody should be scared of coming out, especially if you have something to say. And now Arise is saying that it's gone beyond just a TV production. It is actually the constitution. It's the rights of journalists to ask questions and to demand that candidates come before them and take questions from independent journalists. Questions basically not meant to be set up as a trap for any candidate, but basically the kind of questions that Nigerians will be asking any candidate. So it's up to the APC and the campaign now to decide whether they are going to turn up on Sunday when Arise will be providing that platform again. A lot of people saying that it's a very powerful platform for candidates to be able to just air and talk about security, talk about health, talk about education, talk about the sort of thing that campaigns love to talk about. Sell the ideas, sell the candidate, say this is what the candidate is able to do. Why anybody is running away from such opportunity is something that is beats the imagination.
All right, let's take a look at other issues outside politics. Looking at the Punch newspaper, pretty interesting stories here. It says private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. The writers say 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. And aircraft owners sue government with foreign registered firms. Trustees insist payment illegal. Also taking a look at the Punch, you see up there, depots sell 220 naira per litre. Marketers project 350 naira per litre pump price. The writer says Ipman, others decry jump in landing cost and foresee gloomy Christmas. Just yesterday, the NNPC assured Nigerians of about, having 2 billion litres in storage of petrol. And talking about the fact that it's owing to poor infrastructure on the Apapa Road and some access roads that's causing the long queues in Lagos and, of course, Abuja as well being affected. But when it comes to the issue of the pump price of fuel, now that's a different ballgame entirely. Manuel, what is your take?
It is, and another thing with that story is the blame game. The back and forth between the marketers on one hand, the regulators on the other hand, and even the government itself. So, but to have all these queues in an election year, in a year that you want to reassure people to vote you back in power, it's something that I don't know, unless the APC-led government is thinking of some kind of magic. This is riling up all sort of anger in the country. There's discontent, and this is going to be a Christmas of discontent, like they say, winters of discontent elsewhere in the world. It's a gloomy Christmas ahead if you look at those long queues, and in spite of the reassurances from NNPC, what Nigerians are faced with is these shortages and these long queues and the gloomy prospects of a Christmas. And in an election year, I think it rings so terribly differently, because this is the year you want to convince people that, look, your policies are working and that Nigerians can be rest assured that there will be fuel, there will be petrol, all of that. But then you have these long queues. It's a dismal projection, and it paints a terrible picture when you see those long queues, almost like symbolic of how the country has been grounded to some kind of a halt. Especially, it's very, very symbolic of it. And in an election year, a ruling party should be worried, especially a ruling party that is seeking re-election. And then the story of the jet, private jet, I find that almost funny. These are the top rich people, the Association of Private Jet Owners, who are actually still cutting corners, not wanting to pay what is just statutory, what would come down to government from their private jets and all of that. They don't want to fund their lavish lifestyle by just paying what is statutory and all of that. But kudos to the custom that is saying that, look, we're going to ground private jets. You are not above the law, even though you're this rich. So that's the beauty of that story, the fact that they are being compelled now to, if you're going to live that kind of style, you're going to own a private jet, you might as well pay the levies.
And just before we go, Emmanuel, in the last 60 seconds, the nation is reporting Adeleke has backtracked on the sack and demotion of some staff in Osun State. Is this a smart move? Did he play his cards right?
Well, for me, what's very clear there is the fact that this flip-flop is going to affect the image of a government. A lot of people expected a lot from him. The fact that there was that at all, he's hitting the ground running, but maybe running in the wrong direction, and it's not good for the image. He still had a lot of time to actually project himself. A lot of eyes on him because this is the dancing senator. Some people didn't expect, well, he was going to come this far. Now he's governor. The fact that yesterday there was one story and today, you know, almost 24 hours later, backtracking. With APC actually saying that, no, it's because of the pressure that was his plan. The plan was to sack those workers, but because of the backlash, he backtracked. It's not good. It's you know, cast him in the mold of someone that can just flip-flop on an issue or does not have the will to go. Or he could be seen as someone that is sympathetic and, you know, trying to be rational and trying to be reasonable in his dealings and saying, well, if it's not going to work well, I can actually make a U-turn. But those kind of U-turns just sometimes project leaders as people who didn't really think out the policy very well. Maybe there was no thorough thinking on his part, and then he suddenly did it out of emotions. And now when he saw the backlash, he's backtracting. Not very good image on day one. You don't want to start your administration on that kind of flip-flop or steady footing that he's starting. But then he has a lot of time to actually redeem that. A lot of people will, beyond the sacking, they would like to see how he's able to translate his Imole ideology into light in various sectors of that state, and not just in the dramatic sacking or pulling down of what his predecessor is done in the past.
All right, then. Well, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for your contribution on Newspaper Review this morning. We're speaking to Emmanuel Bello, and that's it in the press preview. Let's hear your views on all our burning issues this morning. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can also join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaybreak.